how's it going out there? What we're going to do is we are doing a brake job on a 2000, what is this, a 95 Mustang. Now when I say brake job, we're going to replace the front brake pads. This car was hit in a very hard collision, and I noticed that the pads were very worn out. So what my friend Pete's going to do, he's going to take you through the steps of replacing your front brake pads. Now the way that I show you to do this is pretty much the same way on all vehicles. It's very, very easy. It's very simplified, where you, the viewer, can do this at home.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and remove our tire from the vehicle. Now if you notice, I do have the vehicle jacked up. What we want to do for safety procedure, we want to go ahead and put a jack stand underneath the lower control arm, because we definitely don't want this vehicle to fall on our foot. What we're going to do, we'll take the little jack stand. I got a little short one here. I'm going to set it right on the back side, and I see that it's a little bit low for that, so we'll go ahead and jack the vehicle up a little bit. Because safety is our feature here. It has to be a feature safety situation, or it's not worth doing. Once the jack stand is placed in its proper place, we're going to come around to this other side here and remove the caliper from the rotor. Now when you go to remove your caliper, what's going to happen, you're either going to have an Allen wrench head, or it's going to be a star wrench head. Alright, the Mustang itself has the star wrench. I went ahead and I found the proper size that fits the caliper bolts, which are located right here. There's one on the bottom, one on the top. And what we're going to do, we're going to take our wrench, our socket, with our ratchet, and we're going to go ahead and remove, that bolt. So you want to make sure that you take your time breaking this loose, because if it's from the factory, what happens is it's got Loctite on it, and you don't want to strip this out. If you strip it out, you're really going to be fucked in the ass, and we don't want any ass fucking over here at my friend Pete's. We just want to have a nice good time and do it right. We're going to go ahead and remove the lower bolt out of the caliper, as you see right here. We're going to put it in a nice safe place. And then on this particular vehicle, we don't have to remove the top one, because this is actually a lift and slide action. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But on most vehicles, you would have to remove the top nut or bolt itself to go ahead and slide the caliper out. On this one, we don't have to. What we will do, though, is we're going to jiggle it around. We're going to pull up on it, just like that, and then we'll be able to remove the caliper. We'll set this out of the way for now, and then we're going to take our pads out of the rotor and the caliper assembly. And if you look right here, you can see that these pads were in very bad shape and really not worth keeping on. This one here had a chip in it right here on the edge. So we're going to go ahead and throw those away and install new ones. Before we put our new pads in place, if you look right here on your caliper, you can see that the cylinder, okay, this is our cylinder right here, and then of course the cylinder rides inside. You want to inspect that very, very good and make sure it's not wet. If it has a wet feel to it, that means that the seals and the rubber boot are leaking, and you need to replace that. But we see that this one is in very good shape, and what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our old pads, we're going to stick it inside right next to the cylinder of the caliper, and then we're going to go ahead and take a C-clamp. We go ahead and take the C-clamp, and what we are going to do is we are going to decompress our cylinder into our caliper. Because the way that front brakes, disc brakes work, the cylinder pushes on the pads, which actually push on the rotor. And as the pads shrink down and get smaller, the cylinder in the caliper expands and stays open. And as we push this in, I'm going to show you something here. If you look down in this area here, you can see where it's very wet, and then of course on the floor down there it's wet. My friend Pete will clean that up before we deliver the car to the customer. But what that is, that's actually brake fluid that's being pushed back into the master cylinder. So if any time in between your change, your brake change, and before you changed them, and you added fluid to it, what's happening is when we're pushing this cylinder in, it's pushing the brake fluid back through the line and into the master cylinder, and this is what will happen. It'll overflow. So we want to go ahead and compress, we want to compress our cylinder in our caliper as far as it'll go. If you look right here, you can see that it's flat all the way. Once that's done, we can go ahead and remove our pad out of the caliper, and now we're ready to install the new pad. I have the new pads right here ready to go, and if you look at them, you can see the difference in thickness here. You can see that this is the new one, this is the old one. So this one here had about 300 or 400 miles left, and this is the brand new pads that we're going to use. Now to install them on the Ford, what you do is you just set them in here just like this. You slide them in through the holding bracket, and then they'll stay inside. Now a lot of the vehicles would require that these would lock in place. There would be a little spring attached to them, little spring lock, and you go ahead and you put them on like that, just like this, and then you would put this whole setup here and slide it over the rotor. But the Mustang is very simple and easy, and what we're going to do, we are going to slide our pads inside, make sure that the tips are up and it's pointing in the proper position. Now, one very important thing, and this is really going to be a helpful deal, is if you ever notice when you're driving down the road, you hear a lot of cars when they come to a stop and the brakes are squeaking. That's because this area right here is rubbing against this area, and what that's doing, it's making a very, very high-pitched chirp noise because the pad is rattling in the caliper. And what we're going to do to stop that, I'm going to take some high-temp silicone, and I'm just going to squirt a vigorous amount right here, just like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here on the back side. And what that's going to do, it's eventually going to glue itself and give it a cushion so it won't have a screech noise, squeak noise, or a chirp. We're going to go ahead and slide our caliper back on and very simply put the caliper back in place where it goes, just like so. And then we're going to go ahead and reinstall our nuts and bolts back in place. Using our ratchet, to make sure that all the nuts and bolts that we have taken off are tight. So now if we look at our rotor assembly, our caliper assembly, our bracket, and our new brakes, you can see that those are put in properly and have many, many years of stopping power for the customer that's going to be driving this vehicle. It's always a safe judgment to catch the pad right before it starts getting metal to metal, because then what happens is you ruin your rotor, and then you'll have to, of course, have that turned, this, that, and the other. Now, if you look at this rotor, you can see that it does have a ceramic look to it and shiny look. And these rotors could use a good turning or actually replacing, but the owner didn't want to spend that kind of cash to have that done. He just basically wanted to replace the brake pads and be done with it. This rotor's still in pretty good shape. There's not a lot of deep gouges in it, and it's ready to go. So there you go. 101 brakes, brakes 101, disc brakes done, ready for traveling down the road another 60,000 miles or more. So this is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete. We have Dylan, Hot Rod Dylan guy. He wanted to mention a few words about the brake fluid that actually falls out of the master cylinder onto your vehicle, and let's see what he has to say.
That fluid is very, I guess you could call it, I don't know, but if it gets on your paint, you need to get it off because it'll start.
Okay, it's basically like paint stripper.
Exactly.
It will eat the paint off of your suspension parts and anything on the car.
Yep.
What's it called? What's that word over there?
Caustic. Caustic.
Caustic. Okay, there's a big word we just learned. It's called caustic.
There you go.
Whatever the fuck that means, now we know.
The shadow man says caustic.
Okay, the shadow guy says caustic. That's what it is. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, Last Chance Pete, with everybody in the background telling us how the fuck it's done and what it does. We'll see you later. Take it easy and make sure to clean your brake fluid off. It's caustic.
Pete learned a new word, man.
Yeah. New word of the day, caustic. There you go. We'll see you later. You sure it ain't toxic, Larry? Come on.
Hey, toxic mud is like harmful to you.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.